Good morning and greetings. It feels good to be back after a week away. I said this at the 9 o'clock service that hopefully some of you will kind of resonate with this feeling that when you've been out of town for a week and maybe you come back, late on a Sunday night and then you come into work on Monday morning, you're at work, but you're still kind of in that week that you just had away. I'm seeing a lot of head nods. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And so I was kind of upfront with them saying, I want to be upfront by saying I'm definitely feeling like that this morning. I just got back from being the chaplain for one of the guest period weeks at Canoga Camp and Conference Center in Western North Carolina. Canoga is the Camp and Conference Center for Province 4 of the Episcopal Church. So the way I've described it to some folks this morning, if you haven't been there, is it's sort of like the regional version of Shrinemont. So it's kind of owned and operated by all those dioceses in the southeast that make up Province 4 of our church. And Canoga has been a really special place for me ever since I was a teenager. I went there as a participant to one of their youth program weeks, and then in college and many, many years after college, served as a counselor or chaplain or worship coordinator for one of the youth weeks, either during the summer or the winter. So Canoga has been this really consistent part of my story. No matter where I've lived, I've kind of always gone back there. It's been this sort of check-in, kind of touchstone place for me. And one of the reasons for that is that it's one of the few places in the world, really still, or at least in my world, it's been one of the few places where when I'm there, I can really let the rest of my life fall away. Sort of the same Sabbath that we get from maybe spending a week, at the beach or at the river or up at a mountain house. Canoga provides that time to not completely forget about the rest of life, but just to put down all those things that I carry every day. I'm sure you carry lots of stuff with you, and when you go out of town and have that time away and time of rest, it's really nice to put that stuff down. And what I've often discovered is that during those times when I'm up at Canoga, when I have the time to put away or put down those things I carry, that then I really discover something about myself. Have any of you ever had a moment like that where you've been maybe on a vacation or you've been kind of out of your day-to-day routine and you've really kind of realized something either about yourself or your life that you couldn't have realized in the busyness and in the midst of it all? Maybe? Yeah? Okay. And so it's just always this clarifying and wonderful time for me. And as I was looking at the readings for this week, we actually used them at our Wednesday service at Canoga as well. As I was looking at the readings for this week, I thought, what a perfect set of readings for a time when I have time to really kind of set aside some certain things and really focus. Because we could pull out many different pieces of this morning's gospel story and talk about them, but the one line that I want to dwell in today is this: for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. During the week at Canoga, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I led a Bible study where we focused on the Psalms. And we used the practice of Lectio Divina, where you read the words 3 times and you kind of ask different questions each time. But one of the things that we did was after the second reading, we would say, take whatever line or phrase is speaking to you and flip it around so that it speaks to you a little more. And so what I want to do with that line, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, is to flip that around. What would you think about if instead of for where your treasure is, your heart, there your heart will be also, what if it said, for where your heart is, there will be your treasure also? Because I think it's a little bit easier, at least for me, to recognize or know where my heart is. And that it might be an interesting exercise to start there, asking, where is my heart? And then there is my treasure. Now, lots of times this particular reading gets used during stewardship seasons to talk about giving, to talk about, where you put your money, your treasure, there your heart is also. But I want to take it a different direction if we're flipping it around like that, to talk about our hearts first and wonder together with you if instead of monetary treasure, we thought of treasure as those things that are the most important to us. I think that then one of the assessments we might be able to make is where my heart is that really connected to the things I say are most important to me? I'll tell you what I mean. If my heart isn't with the things that I say are the most important to me, then I'm going to not be as kind of good a person as I want to be. I'm going to not be able to serve this congregation or the world the way that God's calling me to be, if there's a disconnect between kind of where my heart is and the things I care about the most. I think another way of saying that would be to say that if I'm not spending the time to tend the things that I say I care about the most, then I'm not going to be the best person I can be. One of the things that I really love about Canuga or any of those kind of retreat sort of mountaintop experiences is that in those times we get to sort of practice being our best selves, because when we have that time and space to put down the things we carry, we get to kind of be more or the most like the people God calls us to be. So I spent a lot of time this week thinking about where my heart is, and then how that corresponded with the things that mean the most to me in my life. Some of the people, some of the memories, some of the places that are the most important to me. And what I realized was that I could do a little bit better job making sure that I remained connected to those people and those places. I wonder for you, who or what in your life do you say that you care the most about, but maybe you aren't making space for? Who or what in your life do you say is the most meaningful, but that because life gets busy, you don't necessarily take the time to attend to or tend to or be in relationship with? I don't ask those questions at all to blame or shame, because all of us have far more things that we care about, far more people that we love than we can ever be in deep relationship with all the time. But that I think that when we take those moments just to reassess kind of where our hearts are and how we're spending our time and energy, that's actually a gift. That the gift of that reflection is that we have a chance to sort of reset or reprioritize what we're doing and how we want to be spending our time. Lots of people talk about how summer is this quiet, kind of downtime here in Richmond. People either go away or they stay in their air-conditioned homes and sort of camp out until the weather gets a little cooler. And it just made me wonder if that sort of assessment taking about where our hearts are, if this time might be a good time to say yes to that invitation. So I hope that wherever you are in this coming week or in the coming weeks, that you might be able to carve out some time to ask yourself, kind of where is your heart focused? Where or who or what are the things or people or places that mean the most to you? And how are you doing making those connections? Use this time to reset or refocus if you need to, because God is calling you to do big things in this world. When we come out of this summer season and get back into the fall and that time of busyness, I do think that having done that reset, that having done that assessment, will help us as we work together to build God's kingdom at St. James and in the Richmond community. So I hope you can ponder that, flipping that line around. For where your heart is, there your treasure will be also. Amen.